live, huh? We'll see. Am I live? I gotta turn that music off. Let's turn that music off. I didn't announce this going live, so I just thought I'd go live. Out in the shop doing something. Just a lot of fun here. Let me show you what I'm doing. I'm gonna turn this thing around. Okay. For those of you that have been on my channel that have seen or been interested in hydraulic ram pumps, I'm just getting ready for a day tomorrow of showing some engineering students working on projects in Haiti. And they're going to be going down to Haiti to show people how to install ram pumps, how to do a site evaluation, how to check for the amount of water, fall, elevation, and actually size the ram pump correctly. So I heard about this and I was invited to a couple of their meetings. So on Friday afternoons when I have time, I go to Clemson University and I talk to one of the groups about ram pumps. It's been a blast. They think I don't know what they think of me, total nut job because I get so excited about ram pumps. So I've got another one I put on casters. This is my high performance ram here. Let's show you this Rife engine. That's quiet, isn't it? So that's one I'm going to show too. That's a 10 HDU, and that is basically a 1.25 inch intake. Looks like a lot of heavy iron, but listens because everyone needs pumps. That's exactly right. So this is a great working ram pump. I had it installed in North Carolina and there was nothing wrong with it, but the snifter wasn't adjusted properly. And I'll talk to you about the snifter here in a little bit. So I'm gonna just have a little like hydraulic ram pump class here tonight, going live, just having fun. But all these 6 bolts on here completely broke them. And they're pretty good sized bolts, 1/2 inch bolts, busted them all. Because the ram, when it's not adjusted properly, will tear itself apart. So that's one of the rams I'm going to show. Obviously, I have one of my rams running. It's been running since 1998. You've seen those videos. Now, I found this one. Actually, a friend had found it in a barn. And this is a 1920 double-acting ram. And back then, they called them Rife. It was Rife Engine Company. Okay, and this is a 15S. And it is just an awesome little ram. So what I did is I taped that over and I got it sandblasted and I started trying to take it apart. So I've been soaking this thing for months in PB Blaster and torching things and trying to get it to come apart without breaking everything. This one's really cool. It has 2 adjustable counterweights for adjusting, and the 3 of these bolts are missing for the waste valve. I'll show you that in a second. But what was really cool, what I love about this thing, which is even improvement over my ram. I'm going to show you a few things. You can tell when people have worked in the field with stuff because they make it serviceable, they make it repairable, and I don't know if you can see this.
Hey.
Got things buzzing on my phone here. What does a ram pump do? Okay, I guess I need to back up a little bit. A hydraulic ram pump is a mechanical pump. It uses falling water to pump water to an elevation. And it does it without electricity. It was invented in 1797 by Gustave Montgolfier. He was the inventor of the hot air balloon, but a lot of people don't realize he also invented or perfected the hydraulic ram pump. He automated it, so he gets the credit for the pump. There were some of these pumps used in breweries in England, but they were manually made. So there's a history on it that is really cool, and it was found that you could lift water higher than the source, and it was found because they were blowing out fittings on the first floor of the first 2-story and 3-story buildings. They had to find a way to relieve the pressure on the plumbing fittings, and long story short, the result of that was this type of mechanism. And so I've got a lot of videos. If you want to actually see one running with water, just go search my channel, Engineer 775 and ram pumps. But the water comes in here, and the ram pump actually uses this valve. I don't know if you can see me moving this up and down. This is called the waste valve or impetus valve. The water comes out of here, and it actually, on here I can actually show you this one because I got it apart. So same on this ram, the water's coming in here, it wastes out of the here, and I've got this completely tore apart because I wanted to get some of the scale and rust out of it. And then when that valve shuts, it shoots water up into the inside valve, which I've taken apart. And the inside valve consists of this casting, another gasket. There are 6 gaskets in a Rife ram, and that's pretty consistent that I've seen. I've taken several of these apart. So that's the inside valve. It kind of acts like a check valve. So the water that actually gets pumped is pumped in this area, and that's what's underneath that dome. And it's the dome there. So hope you're following me. The waste valve and mechanism for this ram is sitting over here. Again, I have quite the boneyard here of taking this thing apart, and I'm going to put it back in. So far, so good. And what was so amazing when I took this apart, everything was frozen, rusted up. But they had designed this casting, and this is just an elegant casting. It's just awesome. And they had these old square, as you find in a lot of old hardware, the bolts with square heads on them. And they had it casted where you could actually put that square-headed bolt inside this little slot and then get it vertical, and then you could tighten down the inside valve. And knowing that it would corrode and tear up after a while, that you could actually come in here, just break the bolt off, if you couldn't get it apart, and then take it out and put new ones in. So that's what I'm doing now, is working on putting some new waste valve bolts in there. So I hope that makes sense. So it's a combination of 2 valves. This is like a human heart, except it's a 2-valve heart. And when the pressure leaving the ram through a delivery valve and the pressure coming in from the drive pipe, when they equalize, this thing runs automatically. So it's kind of like your arteries and veins. And if your pressure is right, the valve and your heart keep working. So that's a good thing. The cool thing about this ram, well, let me tell you, this is the key to ram pumps, and a lot of people get so fed up and they don't understand, is this little part right here. And this is called a snifter valve, okay? So the snifter valve is actually a hole into this chamber where the water comes up and comes into the inside valve. And right about the top, before the water comes in the inside valve, is a hole that's drilled into this chamber. And this, as it's a tapered seat, will let a little bit of water spit out, and then it'll suck in air on every stroke. And this one's kind of worn. I might need to grind this down and make a better cone here. And what it does is it allows the dome, this dome here, not to get waterlogged. So it always maintains a certain amount of air in the chamber. Again, air is compressible, water is not. So the beauty and what makes a ram work is the ability to compress this air pocket. A ram can run, but it might not perform very well. The cool thing about a ram pump, this thing will pump at least 250 feet in the air. And that's what's awesome. And you can compress air. You can do a lot of neat things. So another thing that I didn't tell you about, this ram is special. It has a secondary inlet to here, and that's what this is. This is a double-acting ram. This was invented in the late 1800s. This was used and designed and installed in places where you had dirty water, like groundwater from a river, a creek, a pond, a lake. And that water was the force to run the ram. And then you might have a potable spring or well or artesian well that could supply water to this port and flood this. And the cool thing is that the water would not mix. You'd set a standpipe up so that the water coming in, there'd be enough water to flood this area. So it would the dirty water would come out here, and it wouldn't, this chamber, everything would be filled with the spring water that you would actually drink. Now that doesn't look very potable right there, but it was when it was new, and hopefully it will be again when I get done with it. So this is a double-acting ram. You could pump your low-producing spring water, say it only produced a half a gallon a minute, with a 25-gallon-a-minute creek. The creek would run the ram. It would pump up this would be flooded with spring water, and you could actually pressurize a bladder tank, take a shower just like you do today, crank it up to whatever. I've made 180 psi. It'd blow the fixtures off your sink. Not that you want to do that, but it can do that. And again, I've broken every one of these bolts with a badly adjusted ram by not having the snifter correctly adjusted. So again, back to the snifter. This is kind of the key to ram pump operation, making it sustainable, making it run forever. My ram has run for 20 years. I'm just about at 20 years. And I've got it finally, totally tweaked and adjusted in. So I've spent way too much time playing around with ram pump. So somebody gave me this. This was a good teaching tool. Instead of modeling it on CAD and doing a cutaway, I took an old ram apart. I'm going to show the engineering students tomorrow from the group Clemson Engineers for Developing Countries. They got some really cool projects going on. So hopefully what they're going to do is build a ram pump out of metal parts, and it'll be simpler than this, but it needs to have some of the same ideas in these old style rams. These old style rams just run and run and run and run. So I haven't talked about ram pumps for a while on my channel, and I'm so excited to have these students come by tomorrow, and I'm going to download on them everything I know about rams till they're yawning and bored to death. So I think I don't say I've mastered the ram pump, but I've installed enough. There's little tricks I've learned, and I hope to share that with these folks, because the goal here is not about me. It is about how we can bring this to Haiti. Haiti has, I guess it's known for the most elevated water in all of the islands, of the Caribbean islands, that it has the most hills and the most elevated water. So that's a great thing for a ram. You need elevated water, you need falling water to make a ram work. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. And again, the waste valve here, it has so many adjustments. It's really cool. Here's a side look at it. And I'll show you here where it's actually on another ram. Kind of work it. You have a counterweight. Oh, rotate device. Sorry, I'm messing the video up. And you have so many adjustments. Snifter adjustment, rest adjustment, waste valve stroke adjustment, counterweight adjustment. You can adjust the speed of this down to 40 beats per minute or up to 140 beats per minute. The more beats, the less water, believe it or not. The fewer the beats, the more she's working and the higher she'll lift and the more water she'll pump. And so it'll flutter. It'll get to the point where it just kind of floats and flutters. And that's important because seasonally your volume could be changing from your source. And so the ram is fully adjustable to match the seasonal flow of your water. The biggest mistake on a ram is sizing it for the rainy season. You want to size it for the driest drought type season because you want this thing to run all the time. So it's better to go with a smaller ram than to go with a bigger ram. It's also better to go with two rams instead of one. You can parallel them with separate drive pipes. So if you have times where you have a lot of water you want to pump it, instead of putting in one big ram that's going to stop pumping water when it's dry, go ahead and put in a bigger ram. So anyway, just having some fun out here in my shop. I've been rebuilding some slow pumps, tearing down ram pumps, playing solar ram. So I got high-tech Grundfos SQ Flexes versus 1920 rams with 1867 technology. So just having fun. If I could spend a day in my shop playing around with products and reviewing things like the pipe vise. This thing has been awesome. I've been pulling so many things apart with this portable pipe vise. You would have no idea how awesome this thing is. So anyway, another plug for that. And then one of the hardest things to do for this thing, back to the ram, is finding gaskets. So I've been finding rubber material and cutting gaskets, and that one's not so nice. So I need to find, and they're all different thicknesses. I got a thick waste valve gasket here. I got a very thin gasket. I could have killed Rife when they first gave me my first ram. They forgot to put this in, and I spent 6 months. And I guess it was a blessing because I learned how to adjust a ram, but they forgot to put this in. So I was metal on metal, and I couldn't get my ram to lift over 80 feet. I could have killed them. But anyhow, once I put that simple gasket in, I was able to pump 250 feet straight in the air. Boy, did I give them a phone call. Anyway, but I got very good at adjusting and starting rams. Then this inner valve. So you got a gasket there. You got a gasket under here. Check out this stuff. This stuff is just beautiful. You don't see stuff like this anymore. This cone, tapered cone. It's just gorgeous stuff. Look at this casting. Look at this thing. Oh man, this is just beautiful. Anyway, put that back together. I got to put this together tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to show the kids, so then I'll put it together. But there's all, again, back to the gaskets, and then you have the big dome gasket here for the dome, the pressure vessel. And I got a bunch of square bolts, and I wasn't able to find any of these in my local hardware store. So I've been soaking and brushing and getting them back to life, and I think we're in good shape. So anyway, just a little, I haven't done a live video. My phone's about to die. So, well, I might keep going till my phone dies. And got an intake here for the ram. So there's a whole, if you got any questions or are interested in rams, I have Rife rams that I'm very familiar with. Davy rams is another smaller ram with less lift. And you can build your own ram too for about $100 to $200 with local parts. Typically those do not have snifters in them. They won't. And so if you get creative and figure out a neat way to put a snifter in, please share that with me. And I've put bicycle tubes in. I've used propane tanks and bladder tanks. There's a lot of ways to build a ram. But for the students, they want to build something with materials that are in country, something that's easily maintained, fixable, adjustable, and they'll have a set of instructions where they can give the folks that have these rams so they can refer to them if they have problems. I'm interested in the what? Oh, I'm interested in the BMW E30. Really? This is like a modified Trump. Yeah, Trump's another awesome thing. You mean Chinaman wasn't hijacked this ram pump design as a China? I haven't seen a Chinese ram pump, to be honest with you. Shouldn't you sandblast those parts? I actually did. You would not believe how bad this ram was. I did sand. This is after sandblasting. This thing was red, okay? So I did sandblast it. Spencer Langston, hydro. This is hydro, but this is pumping water, not making power. I've made ram pumps cool again. Thank you, sir. To go off topic, please tell me you guys will have Silverfire tent stoves back in soon. Oh my goodness, yes. The tent stoves, we're supposed to be in January. Now he tells me end of February. Yes, they will be in soon according to my supplier. Hello, East Tennessee. All right, just looking at some of the comments here. Hello, Canada. What is the snifter? Okay, snifter, I can answer that. A snifter is basically a place, it acts like a venturi on every stroke of the ram. It sucks air into this chamber, which you see a chamber down there, one over there. And you'll see it spitting out water on every stroke. But what you don't see, for all the water that you spit out, it also sucks in air like a venturi. When the water goes by it, it sucks air in through it. So it's a little orifice. And this thing's adjustable. It's got a little cone and a little seat. And it keeps the ram from getting waterlogged. If you let this chamber get full of water and no air inside, there's nothing to compress, and it starts to break itself. It'll tear itself up because, right? Everybody know water's not compressible, but air is compressible, but water is not. Everybody knows that, I hope. And that's why the snifter is so important. You can mix hydrated lime and laundry salt in a barrel to clean those parts first. I've been cleaning these parts. Remember, this thing has been in water. Look at this thing. This thing is like something you'd find at the bottom in the Titanic or something. Okay? This has worked in the field starting in 1920. Then it was set in a barn for how many years, I don't know. And I'm bringing it back to life. This thing, I know, this thing will pump water. Hey, I need a camera that can go through over in here. This is the waste valve. There's the intake. There's the waste valve. So you're the water now. You're flowing down, and then you come up out of the waste valve. And then you go up this chamber, past the snifter, sucking in air through the inner valve, and then you go out the delivery pipe. Okay, and there's the other, yeah. Oh, I gotta stop losing all these bolts. Okay, so anyway, I hope I answered your question on the snifter. Hello, anybody there? Okay, snifter could go on the supply line. No. The supply line is here. The snifter cannot go on the supply line because you would evacuate all the air here and none would get into the chamber. So that is not correct. Yes, people still use tromps. They're gigantic tromps. There's an awesome one. Search for tromp in Canada. I think your KK, search for that and you'll find it. Snifter could go on the supply line. Nope, it cannot. So, all right, folks, my battery is about toast. I've been out in the shop almost, well, for hours playing. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, and all of that. Yes, you did, Snifter. Watch the video about Trump. Great video. All right, you guys take care. Really appreciate it. This was just an impromptu. Wanted to show you the innards of an old hydraulic ram pump, and hope that you got something out of it. If you need any help, or if you got a site that you think might work for a ram, I can send you some info. Just email me, info@practicalpreppers.com, or send me a comment on YouTube, and we'll get you hooked up. These are amazing, folks. This is how water was moved before electricity came out. So people moved water with rams in the 1800s in the United States and around the world. So amazing devices. Closest thing to perpetual motion machine I've ever played around with. Love them. All right, I gotta sign off. My battery's at 1%. All right, take care, folks. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you soon. What is going on here? Wow, that's scary. We'll go back to the other view. Why is it not? Okay. Hopefully I'll be able to, are you sure you want to stop? Well, I'm at 9%. I thought it was at 1%. Okay, well, I think a lot of people left because I said I was leaving. So I think I've shown you everything I can, the inner workings of a ram pump, and one that's fully functional. And I've got one that's out here running. And people don't believe it, but maybe I have enough. Maybe I have enough energy here. Check this out, folks. And this will be how I sign off. As I get closer, so it is dark, right? So it's not a solar pump doing this, and I'm not running on electricity. So I have water coming out of my trees. My neighbor calls me magic water, and this is one of the reasons why. This water, this will make you want to go to the bathroom. This water's coming up out of the trees. This is my ram pump. Elevation's exactly 100 foot above my ram. And it says I'm getting a very bad connection. So, I don't know why. I guess I gotta go. Oh well, I wanted to show you the ram. I guess I got too far away from my Wi-Fi. But that's my hydraulic ram pump. It's been running for 20 years. Pumping water up. I just did that to show the kids. I actually run it to charge a pond, a little pond area above my garden, just to kind of saturate it. So, so anyway, reconnecting. Did anybody see that water that I was showing you? I think my Wi-Fi let me down. Anyway, signing off. You saw it? Oh, cool. Thank you. Thanks, boss. Johnny, you're on. I can't believe it. So anyway, just, hey, there's Gain Solar. Folks, if you get a chance, please subscribe to my buddy Johnny at Gain Solar. I know this is not a, I wanted to do an official thank you to him for all the work he does for me and with me. So just if you can, go to Gain Solar Services, one of my featured channels. And I'm trying to get this guy over 1,000 subscribers. Would you do me a favor? I know there's not that many people on here right now, but subscribe. And I'm going to do a follow-up on that there, boss. So ram pump day tomorrow for the engineers at Clemson University. Rife ram, Rife engines, and all the inner workings of a ram. And then I can see one working. And then I'm going to test them and actually shut it off, drain it, and have them start it. And that's the hardest thing. The most frustrating thing about a ram pump is the starting procedure. So you're welcome. I'm okay with shameless plugs. Oh, you saw the water. I'm glad. So that water's been pumping up the hill for 20 years here on the farm. And so rams are awesome. I can't believe my battery is just hanging in here now. So anyway, boneyards, pumps, slow pumps, flow light pumps, ram pumps, Grundfos pumps, solar. We got pumps, folks. I'm like the Bubba Gump Pump Company here in South Carolina. So if you need a pump for anything, shallow wells, deep wells, creeks, ponds, aeration, compressors, direct drive, battery, solar, you name it. Old school still rules. Yes, it does. These things are just awesome. Once you watch them run, you play around with them a little bit, you're just totally enamored by them. At least I have been. Old school rules. All right, folks, y'all have a great weekend, and bless y'all. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Gain Solar Services, please. I would really appreciate it. A lot of my material has come because of Johnny, so that would just be a favor to me. Shameless favor. All right, we'll talk to you later. Signing out. Low battery. I get low battery. I guess I gotta go.